You'll need to think about market entry strategies. Now that sounds like a posh term for understanding how you're just going to get your products or services to market. It's okay to make widgets in Workington and flog them overseas, but actually you come across what I call the glass ceiling of exporting. There's only so far that you will go through making your products and services or whatever and supplying them from the UK overseas. You need to think about other ways of reaching your market. Traditionally, here we talk about agents and distributors. Now the difference between an agent and distributor is very clear. An agent is somebody who acts on your behalf and to whom you pay a commission, typically 10, 12, 15%, something like that. Now they only get that payment when the deal is done, but the deal is between you as the principal and the purchaser in market. The distributor route is somebody who effectively buys the product from you and then uplifts the price to sell it in the marketplace. You may or may not have control over the selling price in the market if you do decide to go down the distributor role. You can, because you can write it into the distribution agreement, but it's important to think about it when you're moving towards the distributor model. Now people talk about exclusive, non-exclusive and other ways of doing this. Obviously, if you've got a really leading edge product or service, somebody will probably want to be your exclusive distributor or your exclusive agent. You may decide that's fine. You may decide you want to appoint 3 or 4 non-exclusive. But I'd like to offer you just one other way of looking at it, and that is that you may have actually built up this market by working directly, by making those widgets in Workington and selling them overseas. And you may have a few large companies that you want to continue to work with. So here's my offer, and that is look at sole. Look at a sole agent or a sole distributor. They would then, under these circumstances, be your only agent or your only distributor, but you would still have the right to be able to work directly through the key customers that you may have developed elsewhere. So think about those agents and distributors when we're moving on through the chain of development of international business. Ultimately, however, in my experience, you need to think about having a presence on the ground. Take China or America. It's very difficult to work from the UK when you're talking about 8 hours time difference, 8 hours time difference to California, 8 hours time difference to Beijing. In China, you're probably talking about somebody speaking a completely different language. You need to think about how you're going to get your products there, and actually, ultimately, you need to develop your brand. You need to think about how you're going to grow your presence in the market. And you might look at various ways of doing that. You might actually start off thinking about a local office. I developed a rep office for my organisation in China. So you can have a representative office. You could have a trading office. That's a way of getting started. Importantly, the individuals in that office would be your people. They would report to you. They'd be able to give you the proper market research and the understanding of what's going on in the marketplace. And they'd be able to develop your brand, your presence in the marketplace. But they may not be able to trade. They may not be able to sell. They may not even be able to conclude deals for you. So you might have to move to the next stage. And that typically would be setting up a kind of local subsidiary. Now, this would be a new business in the market. It would be subject to local laws, local commercial laws, local business setting up laws. You need to take appropriate advice, but it can be very important. In America, you're setting up an Inc., an incorporated firm. In China, you might be, for example, setting up a foreign equity joint venture or a wholly foreign-owned enterprise. But whatever you do, take the appropriate advice. Think about establishing, we talked about in my previous video, about getting your trademark registered and your copyright, etc. But this allows you to develop the brand and have people speaking the local language in the local time zones, probably even having product on the ground so they can satisfy the market demand quickly with logistics, and you can get all of that benefit from having a local subsidiary. You may want to think about a joint venture. Joint ventures are much maligned, but actually very important. And one of the reasons for having a joint venture is the partner. It's been said that the three most important decisions you make in a joint venture are the partner, the partner, and the partner. And they're right. It's really important to get the right partner. But if you have the right partner who can actually probably provide you with market access, really understands the local cultures and practices, how to do business on the ground, they may even know the industry that you're working with, they can be really very powerful. And I would certainly recommend people examining the possibilities of a joint venture. But what are the benefits of any presence in the market, building up that local presence? Well, there would be real control over your marketing and sales. Selling yourself is fine, going through agents and distributors is fine, but ultimately you may need to get to that local presence to have real control over your marketing and sales. You can plan for the long term. You know what you're doing. You've got control of the price in the marketplace, and you can plan effectively. You can build up your brand. You build up your market presence. People will actually know that brand on the ground. It will be translated into the local language, and you'll be able to deal effectively in the marketplace. You'll have a better understanding of the market by actually having somebody on the ground who's working there all the time, or even a whole company there. You will be part of the business environment. You'll understand what's going on in the marketplace. And ultimately, what's important to customers? You improve the service to your customers. You improve the service to your customers, you get better knowledge of what's going on, you have people on the ground, you develop your brand. It is a much better way, ultimately, of developing your overseas business presence.